Our final speaker for today is Markus Kitsinger with the iRODS Consortium, and his talk is entitled iRODS Build and Packaging 2025 Update.
Hey there, I'm Markus. I'm the build engineer for the iRODS project, and I'm going to tell you what I've been up to for the past year. We're going to talk about the milestones we got for build and packaging, what all is new in iRODS 5.0 in that department. We're going to talk about versioning changes. We're going to talk about the new iCommands installation location. We're going to talk about a new toolchain we're using. We're going to talk about a new Python module we wrote. I'm going to talk about some other things that have happened and what's coming next and some other considerations. All right, so first up, if you saw my talk last year, a lot of this will look familiar. This is essentially my long-term goal for build and packaging. We got three main things here. We're going to improve the integration with the system, we're going to improve the build system, and we're going to migrate from CPAC to standard tools for packaging. Not everything on here, I believe, is essential for the long-term goal, but these are all things that I plan to do eventually, and most of this stuff will make it in by the end of it. Everything that's crossed out here, we've accomplished, and everything that's got asterisks, we have made significant progress towards. All right, so with iRODS 5, we are now building against lib standard C++. We've switched from a standard library that we provide to the one that is on the system. We also have systemd support, including service manager communication. Corey's work overhauling the main server process kind of made it easy for me to slip in there and add in the rest of the work for service manager communication. The server has absorbed some functionality previously handled by Python scripts. So for example, we had some cleanup logic in iRODS CTL, mainly for, I think it was shared memory files used by the S3 plugin. And we've got new version numbering, which we'll talk about in a minute, a new iCommands installation location, which I will also talk about in a minute, and an updated toolchain, which I will also talk about in a minute. But I think the biggest thing is we've reduced our reliance on externals. A lot of them we migrated to system packages, but some of them we got rid of entirely. We're no longer using Avro, ZeroMQ, or CPP ZMQ in iRODS. So just a recap of our versioning changes. Again, if you saw my talk last year, this will look really familiar. Starting with iRODS 5, major releases of iRODS are version 5.0, 6.0, 7.0, etc. And minor releases will be 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. And patch releases will be 5.0.1, 5.0.2, 5.0.3. And we're using GNOME-style development versioning, so between releases, the code in the repository has development version numbers. So that .90, .91 would be for major releases, and .90, .91 or whatever would be for minor releases. And we have the custom CMake package version file that takes all this into account and the switchover. So here's the new stuff. We're still migrating to the new system in some areas, but it's mostly rolled out now. Patch releases will be API and ABI compatible, barring exceptional circumstances. And starting with iRODS 5.1, library so names will only include the major and minor version. Some sister projects, plugins, and clients are now decoupled from the iRODS release cadence. That means that we don't need to have a tagged release for every iRODS update. We stamp the version number that the project is built against in the package revision string, so you can know what version of iRODS a particular package is built for. And eventually, package rebuilds themselves will also not be needed for iRODS patch releases. All right, we're also moving where the iCommands live because we've noticed that they collide with some other projects. For example, SleuthKit also has an ILS executable. Debian and Ubuntu have a workaround for this. Other distributions do not. So now we are installing our iCommand executables in a subdirectory of the library directory. We have our own directory for clients now, but this is configurable by CMake. We provide symbolic links in the original locations, and that is also configurable by CMake. Starting with 5.1, the symbolic links will be split into a new package. The original package will include sourceable shell scripts for common shells to add iCommand's installation directory to path. And we may also provide module files for LMOD and similar technologies. All right, our new tool chain. 4.3 was built with Clang 13, which was released in 2021. It's a little bit older. It sometimes crashes when compiling C code containing variable length arrays. Constant val is broken, and it's incompatible with newer versions of libstandard C++ and all code routines in libstandard C++, no matter what version. So for iRODS 5, we switched to Clang 16. It's a bit newer, released in 2023, many bug fixes, constant val works, and it's compatible with libstandard C++, like the default ones provided by the distributions. So we don't have to worry about telling it specific tool chains to use when building Clang itself. And this should ease the transition to distro-provided compilers as well. All right, let's talk about a new Python module I wrote. This is called distro distill. It's a companion to the distro module, and it provides additional information about the current Linux distribution. In particular, it's information about the upstream Linux distribution. So if, say, you run it on Ubuntu Mint, it will tell you information about the Ubuntu release that it was built on, or same for Alma Linux on RHEL, that sort of thing. It'll be an executable like LSP release. It's still very much a work in progress. It started out as something that we used in the externals repository, and it currently lives in our scripts directory, but it will eventually be its own project and package. And here's some other stuff that happened. For iRODS 5, we dropped support for Ubuntu 2004, for Debian 11, and for EL8. 4.3 will continue to support these distributions. We also migrated our CI workflows to Ubuntu 2404. We added a whole bunch of databases to our testing environment. We updated the Python rule engine plugin for Python 3.12. It was mainly some stuff to do with the global instruction lock, and we weren't handling it properly for a multi-threaded environment. We also removed the Python 2 support from the PREP. We changed the citing digest for the RPM packages. We've limited support for systemd as an entry point in our development environment runner containers. We bumped the CMake minimum version requirements for pretty much all of our projects to 3.12. And we migrated our Rocky Linux containers to the new base image location. By the way, if you're using Rocky Linux from Docker Hub, make sure you're getting it from the right place. The obvious one is not correct anymore. And here's what's coming up next. We've got EL10 support. It came out last month. Rocky Linux itself dropped their version a few days ago, I think. We're going to remove a whole bunch of externals packages. A lot of this stuff we've migrated over to system packages. But one of these in particular, Redis, I don't think we've been using for the entire time that I've worked here. So we're going to get rid of that one. We're going to update MungeFS for the new CMake versions. We're going to use distribution compilers for building externals wherever possible. In my testing so far, it looks like that's possible everywhere, but still looking into it, still working on it. We're going to update the user space packager, which hasn't been touched in a while. We're going to migrate the externals packager from FPM to NFPM, so you won't need to worry about Ruby anymore. We will put our libraries in the normal locations on Debian and Ubuntu. That did make it in for Enterprise Linux for 5.0. It was supposed to make it in for Debian and Ubuntu as well, but it ended up not. We're going to have an initd script for systemd-less environments. Someone in the Slack was asking about that earlier. We're going to have a main function in our plugins and libraries to provide build and runtime information. If you've ever tried running your libc as a program on Linux, it'll tell you information about itself. That's kind of this. We want pretty much the same thing here. We're going to have proper CMake target names with namespaces. We're going to continue splitting up varlib iRODS. We're going to have side-by-side installable database plugins. We're going to put our headers in the CMake target sources lists, and we're going to continue to improve the testing environment. So as we move forward, there's some other considerations. Most of this will be familiar to you if you've seen my talk last year. How will build system and packaging changes affect development workflows? How will we document this? How will CI needs change, and how should we handle CI for sister projects? When are clean room builds needed, and how should we support them? How will we verify dependency minimum versions, and how often should we do so? How long should we maintain our legacy CMake target aliases? How will the upgrade process be affected by packaging and system integration changes? And how should our package repositories be maintained? And is our current system sufficient? As we move forward towards the light at the end of the tunnel, these are all things that need to be kept in mind. Does anybody have any questions?
All right. We have one question over here.
I guess the more obvious question was with the release of iRODS 5, you drop support for EL8.
That's right.
Does it mean it doesn't run, or you won't service if there are requests for it, something's broken?
We are not publishing packages for EL8. I think there's also some issues running on EL8 as well. We're not officially supporting it. If you build it yourself on EL8, that's great. But we're not going to do anything to stop you from doing that, but we're not going to support it.
Right. Good bill.
Any idea what the project timeline for Python virtual environment support for Python rule engine plugin?
Oh, okay. So that's a question about some other work that I've been doing over the past year. That's not directly related to build system and packaging. So with the change in ownership module, in the ownership model for in iRODS 5, I've had to go back to the drawing board on a lot of that stuff. So it's kind of hard to say. I would like to say that I will have that done by the end of the year, but don't quote me on that.
All right. Do we have any other questions? What do you feel is the most challenging part of the work that you have planned?
I am still fairly new to RPM packaging. I feel like it's not going to be that difficult to pick up, but figuring out how to fit it into our workflow the way that I intend to for Debian packaging might be a little bit tricky.
All right. Great. Thank you.